This is a phenomenal day with a phenomenal conversation, and I'm really excited about having Mr. Walter Jordan. So we're gonna get started now, but I wanna make sure that we're grounded with the possibility that the rest of the day is for you. So let me just ask, Andrea real quick. Andrea, where are you?
Giovanni, I'm right where I have to be right now, right here.
Yeah, right. And Lori K, what time is it? And Lori K is saying right
now, and it's the perfect time.
right now it is the perfect time. Very good, very good. And Jacqueline, how are you?
I am how I say I am, which is fantabulous.
You get to say, you really get to say. It's like the secret of the universe is to really quite register what Jacqueline is saying. You get to say how you are. Say something else and you'll be somebody else. But today I want to get us started with just telling you a little bit about today's conversation. I want to share a little bit also about our speaker today, which is I am super excited about having him. Walter, thank you for being here. And before you get us started, Walter, I'm going to just share a little bit about you. Today's conversation is going to be on who is driving your bus. You know, like who's driving your bus? You know, like life is happening, who's driving it? And here's the person who's going to talk to us about that. Walter Jordan is an Indiana High School Hall of Fame player from Northrop High School, where he has led his team to a 29-1 record and the 1974 Indiana High School State Basketball Championship. He was also named first team Indiana All-State and All-Star with legend Larry Bird. How about that? And Kentucky Derby All-American. In high school, Walter was voted Sertoma Award Winner, the state's highest honor for student athlete, and voted Best Male Citizen. What is it like to be voted the Best Male Citizen by high school classmates? After high school, he then attended Purdue University, where he was a 3-time All-Big Ten performer, 2-time team MVP, and 2-time team captain. Walter is the founder of the Future Star ARC Summer Youth Program from 1980 to 1990, and he founded and directed the Parade of Stars, an annual NBA sanctioned benefit all-star basketball game, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and Allen County Society for Crippled Children and Adults. Parade of Stars features stars such as Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Ron Harper, Scott Skiles, Scooter McCray, Wes Matthews, Chuck Pearson, Jerry Sichting, and so on. Mr. Walter, I'm calling him Mr. Walter, Mr. Jordan Walter was also a professional basketball player. Walter, good morning. Thank you for being here. And tell us a little bit about the subject today. Who's driving the bus? Who's driving your bus?
Wow. Thanks for that introduction, Gene. Appreciate that. Guys, I'm so excited about being here with you guys. You guys got me fired up. One of the things that I believe in team. I believe that I'm no good. I suck as an individual. Put me on the right team, I can do some amazing things. I feel like this morning I'm on the right team. Thanks for that energy. I needed that. Who's driving your bus? I mean, I think that's the question of the day. The world is not void of good people. The world is void of good leadership. And everywhere you go, it's lacking. The thing about exposure is at an all-time high. People are being exposed about who they really are right now at this time. So that's good and bad. You guys are obviously are people I want on my bus. So who's driving your bus? I believe the good Lord gave us all a luxury bus. That's our bodies, that's our minds, that's our health, that's our wellness. That's really is our wealth. That's our service. Who are we helping? How can I help you today? So on that bus, on your bus, you got to make sure you have a clear vision. You got to make sure we have the GPS. We know exactly where we're going. We also got to understand that the storm is going to come. There's going to be bumps in the road. That direction you might plan on going might be detoured. And you also got to understand there are a lot of people that want to get on your bus, and you've got to protect your bus. You got to create the environment you want on your bus. And not everybody is meant to be on your bus. Some got to be kicked off. Some must be. Some want to get, you want to go to New York, they get on the bus and they want to go to Chicago. That's not going to work. You know where you're going. You know your destiny. You know what your purpose is. God has told you what your purpose is. And you're not going to be deterred by anybody. Like that bus, you got to make sure you take pride in that bus. You got to keep that luxury bus clean. You got to keep your mind clean. You got to understand the praise and pray and make sure you changing the oil. You got to make sure that you're putting gas in there, because that bus is going to need gas. That bus is going to need some energy, some fuel. That bus is going to be it's going to be tough sometimes. You want to go from A to Z, but you know nothing goes from A to Z because your plan sometimes is going to take you from A to D to back to A, because God need to humble you and help you grow to get where you ultimately want to go. So my question is always, who's driving your bus? What are you doing every day to make yourself better? Are we growing? Are we growing? Are we getting better? For the last 6 months, if we hadn't gotten better, if we hadn't tried to help anybody, shame on us. And I look at the world today and I shake my head, because we as a country are failing each other. We are failing each other. And it's us adults who's doing childish things. It's not the children, but us not holding up to our responsibility, because everybody wants to point fingers. When you're driving your bus, you have to take responsibility. You have to say, I could have done better. Who can I reach out today to serve? Who can I help? That's a question every day. I ask, Lord, send me in the direction to somebody that might need a kind word, might need a shoulder, might need some assistance. The Lord has blessed us. So what are we doing to make our world better? Are we protecting our environment for our children? If you get on my bus, you better have a damn mask on, because we need to protect each other. It's not about us. I have a 4-year-old grandchild. I want to try to be around for my 4-year-old grandchild till he's 18 years of age. I'm 64 years of age. My first 50 years of my life, I kept believing in God. But the last 14 years of my life, I believed God. That changed my life. Because we always say, we quote and you know the word, but are you living the word? I'm so tired of people saying they're Christian and hate their neighbors. It's impossible to love your country when you don't even love the person that don't look like you. It's impossible. But you say you're Christian. The Ten Commandments are not multiple choice. You don't get to pick 2. There's 10 of them. And sin has no weight. Who's driving your bus?
Walter, I have a question as
Yes.
you're developing the conversation. Because I want to take advantage of something that, since I have you here, since we have you here, and you've gone through a very powerful journey becoming a Hall of Fame, right? Playing an NBA professional basketball player, right? And being a coach for, how many years were you a coach?
I've been coaching for 30 years.
30 years, right? And getting some amazing results, right? So
Absolutely.
you know what you're, in the context of leadership, in the context of creating high performance in others, and in the context of leading yourself to get results, you know what you're talking about, right? Now, there are 2 aspects that are coming up for me as you're speaking. There is, well, Walter, how did you, America is not like all of a sudden like jerks. America, you know, and all countries.
Absolutely.
Human beings have been jerks throughout history, right?
Absolutely.
While you were growing up and you were leading yourself to the high performer that you are, you had to deal with racism. You had to deal with systemic racism, even more than it is now. how did you lead yourself? How did you protect your own internal boss so that you wouldn't give up, you wouldn't become resigned with the circumstances? That's one question, okay? I know that's a big question, and I'm going to give you another big question. Because currently, since you're pointing to that, currently, people don't want to be in my boss. People don't want to be in your boss. So if you're not in my boss, if I'm not in your boss, there's a different way of leading me, because I don't share your values, and I don't share the 10 commandments, and I don't share blah, 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 right? So how do you lead?
Absolutely.
Was that?
Absolutely. It's a great question.
Yeah, so based on your experience, how did you lead yourself? And now, based on your experience, in your view, what do we got to do to be able to enroll people in my bus?
Well, first of all,
go ahead, Walter.
That's a great question. Both of them are great questions. One of my favorite sayings: people are fascinating. Once you understand people, that's great, and that's challenging. Okay, but we have to be non-judgmental. I was blessed. I didn't do anything in my life I've ever accomplished by myself. Everything I've done was about a team. My first team, the most valuable team, was in the greatest team I ever played on, my family. I'm one of 10 children. 7 of us got through college. We were dirt poor. We had nothing. I'm the 7th boy in that family. I grew up in a Christian home. We never knew we were poor. In 71, integration started, where I was bused my sophomore year. I was bused to a school where we didn't want to go to. It wasn't in the neighborhood any longer. We had to pass 10 other high schools to get there. So when we got there, all across the country, you guys might remember 71 if you're old enough, but there was racial tension everywhere. Literally, I mean, physically, altercations daily, people thrown through the bus window, chains. I was part of that class, my senior class. My senior class, there was 80% white, 20% black. I saw it firsthand. I experienced that for the first time because I went to my neighborhood schools my whole life. And everybody in that school, including my teachers, looked like me until I got to be 15 or 16. So I saw racism but I knew at home it was not allowed. My parents didn't teach me that. That's why I say create your environment. My parents would not have it. I could not be involved in that. I was more afraid of my parents than anybody else. But they hadn't created an environment where we walked to church on Sundays. We had one car. My dad worked 2 jobs. So 10 of us, 9 of us walked to church every Sunday. So we had that base. I say you don't have to have the same religion or believe the same thing. You have to have a good soul. You have to be a decent human being. I coach all kinds of kids. Been blessed to have kids become aerospace engineers. 2 siblings or brothers. They're now flight attendants, attorneys, doctors, kids playing in NFL. They'll tell you. I tell people, don't Google me, go vet me. Talk to people who know me. And that's more important than anything. You know, I love the fact that you asked that question because too many of us are so judgmental. You know, God made all of us out of his likeness. Whatever you believe is fine. Whatever you think is fine. But just because you were born a certain way doesn't mean you have to finish that way. We all need to grow. I'm still trying to grow right now. I'm still trying to get better. I read every day. I read something that motivates me, that inspires me. People inspires me. I can learn from my kids. I tell my kids all the time, I can learn from you. But the bottom line is, when things go good, they did. When things go bad, I did. So I believe that you love on people. With my kids as a coach, I love on them 7 out of 10 times. 7 out of 10 times, I got to give them love because they're not getting that. The other 30%, they appreciate that more and they listen to you more, and you begin to build character. We've had kids change their attitudes. So no, they don't come into, nobody's perfect. Nobody comes to you perfect. When they get on your bus, that environment that you created have a great chance of changing their hearts and their souls. Not their religion, not their political views, but you create the right environment. It's amazing If you had 40 people on that bus and they had the same energy, mindset, spirit, and soul that you have as a bus driver, watch what happens to the 2 or 3 that doesn't have it. It's amazing how that happens. I see it happens all the time. And I think that's what we all have a responsibility to, is to make sure we're at least trying to understand that God's giving each of us keys to our own luxury bus. And we are responsible instead of pointing fingers. What are we doing in our circle, in our environment, in our household, in our families? What are we doing to create that environment and making sure they understand they too have a bus and prepare them for when their time to drive. Most people won't get behind the wheel because they have no courage, they lack courage, and they don't trust God or their higher being, whoever it may be. You still have to believe in something greater than you and bigger than you, whatever it is. I'm fine with it. But you have to understand that it takes courage to be a leader. There's some people that's of course gonna talk about you, demean you, and no matter what it is you're trying to do. I always say every step you try to walk up, you ever notice when you get closer to the top how hard it is? It's just harder for you to breathe. That's just what we do as people. We want to bring people down and make it difficult for them to get to the top. So I hope that answers your question, but I just think wholeheartedly that that's a challenge that you should welcome as a bus driver of your life.
Thank you, Walter. Yeah, that definitely opens up a lot of angles for me to look at the opportunity of leading myself and then leading others, and the big seed that you're living in. I welcome all of you, if you have some questions or some comments, to raise your hand. One of the things that is leading me is the power of the environment that you're pointing to. I, as the bus driver, if you will, there's only so much I can say to make a difference to others, but if I create the right environment, right, where, and something that you're pointing to that I'm walking away with is that the environment where acknowledgement is at least 70%, so that 30% that is constructive criticism can be heard, and it actually creates the character of the person rather than having the person resist you or feel diminished.
You know, you're right on point, because instead, getting back to the high school story, we came together, my classmates all came together. I remember 80% white, came together. And the cheerleaders, my mom passed away my senior year, a week before my first game, my senior year. And they were there for me. My classmates, my teammates, they were there for me. They were at my house in the inner city back in the day, that was unheard of. And people were like, what the hell are all these people, white people, doing in my neighborhood? They were my friends. They have since become my brothers and sisters. For 45 years, we love each other. We tell each other, we share. Every time someone's doing something, we support each other. And we're super close. When I say brother, it has nothing to do with color. There's some people that look like me, ain't my brother. It has nothing to do with color. It has to do with your soul. And I know for a fact that they are on my bus, and they know I'm on their bus. And they're also capable of driving their own damn bus. And so that's what we're looking for, leadership. And we have some amazing people in this world. So I'm excited because I know the young people are now engaged across the country. Good, bad, or indifference. Young people need to be engaged. It's their time. And so they can create the environment they want, because I was more concerned than anything. Every day I'm concerned more about the young people than I am my generation, because we have to really protect them and help them understand that they have the keys as well to drive a bus, to drive their own bus.
Very good. Thank you, Walter. Does anyone has any questions or any comments for Walter, since we have him here, a Hall of Fame, a professional basketball player? Thank you for being here, Walter.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
No questions. I like it. No. Let's see.
You left us something to think about, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Go ahead. Oh, Lori Kate had her hand raised. Yep, go for it, Lori Kate.
Yeah, wow, that was great to hear your perspective, Walter. My question, when Giovanni was asking about, or when you were talking about your childhood and growing up and being bused to other schools, and And you said that racism and was not allowed in your home. And I'm curious, how do you now deal with the racism that's really coming to head now? And what advice do you have for us white people to stand up for you and be there? Having been brought up, I was the one bused to a black high school, so I was the 20%. And I know that a lot of us were just mad. I didn't mind being there. I loved it, actually. But I also found that it seemed like everything I said was offensive to somebody. And I want to know, how can I stand up and be there for the black community now, because I'm angry about how things are? How can I help someone ride the bus?
That's a great question. Thanks for that question. The conversations I have today are so different than the conversation I had 6 months ago. A lot of my children in my program, 75 kids, last year in my youth program, 4 months out of every year, 17 years in Georgia. Half of them are white, and their parents are friends of mine. And their kids, I don't see color at all, especially when it comes to kids, because kids are just innocent and they're just out having fun, they loving on each other. It's so good. That's my therapy, just being around my kids. So when I get that question, and I had friends, one of my friends, her name is Sally, I hope she'll mind me telling the story, but she's a minister. And her husband is 6'8", he's a white guy, he played basketball at Georgia Tech. We are very close like brothers. We go out to dinner and we'll tell people we're twins. But he's Danny, I'm not Danny. So, but we tell people that we're twins. And so, we've been friends for 17 years. She supported our youth program. They've been amazing. Their kids play for me. But she's a minister, and she calls me after all the George Floyd thing went down, and she says to me, Coach Jordan, I'm sorry. I said, what are you sorry for, sis? You have nothing to be sorry for. You didn't do anything. So we get caught up in garbage of black and white, and one size does not fit all. I get just as angry, more angry about black on black crime as I do white supremacist crime. And so that's your soul speaking to you. But I believe that when people know your history, at least respect the fact and don't say it's not happening, at least do your homework and learn the history and see that it is happening. It's been happening for a long time. Now, just because of social media and these cameras, now all of a sudden we notice it. But this has been going on for a long time. I'm 64 years old, and when I walk out the house, no matter what I did or who I am or who I think I am, how much money I make, no matter what, I'm a black man. I've been pulled over for nothing. I've been followed around the malls. My son has, my nephews, my nieces have. It's the way it is. But don't ignore and say just because you don't see it and don't live in that world that it's not happening. So I think education and understanding, respecting each other to understand that, and I think that's the whole key. Educate, because everybody's contributed to this country. Everybody. No one person has been dominant to make America great again. It's all of us. And so that's something I think we all have to understand and just respect each other and be decent human beings. God-fearing, decent human beings. I think that'll do half the trick. Praying that it does.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Walter. It is first, I appreciate your boldness, right? You're a bold human being, and therefore you're a high performer, right? And one of the things that I am committed to is making decency viral again, Yes,
absolutely, I love it.
Being decent lost its coolness somewhere. Being someone who is decent lost its coolness. I don't know why.
I love
that. But something about that. So we're almost at our time. I know Andrea had her hand up, and Jacqueline wants to say something. So let's real quick, Jacqueline or Andrea, you want to say something? And then go ahead, Jacqueline, say something, and then.
Okay. Walter, I just wanted to thank you for your time this morning and for your dedication to children and giving your time to children and giving back to children. I am a children's book author, And I try to, just educate through my books and everything. So I really thank you for your time and you giving back to children, period. Thank you so much.
Thanks for saying that. Let me know how I can support you because I have a lot of kids. And,
all right, thank you. Will do.
And we're a community, so we can help each other. We need to do it.
Okay, I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Walter, thank you so much for being here. What is your last word?
My last word is you guys will all be welcome on my bus. I know you guys, I know you guys are awesome. You got me fired up this morning. And I love being around energetic, positive people. And we help each other grow. We need it. We need that more than ever. And that's all I surround myself with. I refuse to do anything different. Even on my social media pages, I don't get involved in the mess, the garbage, the drama. I let people know, people text me with bogus information and bogus stuff. And I always text them back, what's your intention? Why are you sending me this? I am not the one. I don't get engaged in mess. And it's not, to me, it's about humility. It's about doing the right thing. Some of us forget what is right. We'd rather be right than do what we know is right. That's the problem. That's why we're in the situation we're in today. That's my last word.
Thank you, Walter. Andrea, any last words?
No, I think there was a fantastic day, a fantastic discussion with Walter. And it's like he said, allow people to be coming to your boss. You invite them, but also allow them to leave if they're not happy with where you're going. So just open the door, bye-bye, you can get out of my bus too. So allow them to do that as well, right?
I love it.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. Guys, I've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having me. You guys have touched me this morning and my life is richer because of you guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, then, thank you for saying that. That's the spirit of the Daily Huddle. To all of you, thank you for joining the Daily Huddle today. Just appreciate your patience. Thank you, those of you who joined us on Facebook. Thank you for being there. And we're only 1 week away from our leadership course. I know some of you are at the fence. There's not much to think about. Just go ahead and register and have a phenomenal weekend with Sorel and I and everybody else from the family. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Walter, thank you. Bye-bye.
Sir Walter, much respect to you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Much love. Be safe.
Everybody.
Be safe.
Have a great day.